Hello, right, welcome to this video and welcome to my newly improved studio. And you can see me on this one, so hello, if you wonder what I look like. You've probably heard my voice loads, but this is what I look like. Yeah, this ugly mug here. So I thought I'd do what I hope is going to be the last video on my studio changes and updates, because there's been quite a lot this year and I've never quite got it right. And I think I've now got it right. I know I say that, I'll probably change it again at some stage. But for now, it just kind of feels really workable now. Everything is within easy reach of everything else. Everything's connected. And it's just kind of like a nice area to work in. So this end is my kind of music production end. Down the other end, which I'll just film off here so you can see down there. So that's the camera I'm filming on, so ignore that. But down that end is my sort of teaching end of my drum teaching, because my main area of work is I am a drum teacher. And I teach kind of in schools and from here. So I've got a couple of kits down there that I teach on, a little seating area over there and some rubbish and stuff on the floor. So that's that end. And then this end is where I write all my stuff. So I've kind of organised it that over this side is sort of the sequencing writing kind of area. And what I'll do is, I'll go through each bit now. So I'll try and cut between the two different cameras. So starting over this side, we've got my little modular, which sort of keeps on growing. So we've got the modular coming down here. We've got the mini log, the micro brute, the MB33 with a couple of effects pedals. That's going through those effects pedals. We've got the TR8. We've got the Deluge made by Synths, which is kind of like the centre of everything. That's kind of like the brains of everything. So that's how it's set up at the moment. That's sending MIDI clock out to everything and also sequencing everything. I'm going to go through that in more detail shortly. We've got the TB03, which is kind of like the main part of my sound. We've got the Volca bass. We've got this is old Yamaha, actually, an old MIDI disc mixer, which I'm using to route some audio through. You can actually record, it's like an 8-track MIDI disc mixer. I miss MIDI discs. I used to like MIDI discs, but anyway, there we go. Coming then round here, we've got, just in the corner there, we've got a turntable with the 808 slip mat, which is very nice. And then below that, I've got the Denon amp, which is basically all the audio is going through that, and then out to the speakers over here. The turntable is kind of just for if I want to play some vinyl albums in here, really, and just have a listen to those. 'Cause I don't really DJ or anything on that, but I can also hook that up to the Deluge down here, because I will sometimes do that, and I'll sample some stuff off old records as well, which is quite useful. So yeah, it's useful having that. We've got an iPad then down here, which is running. I've got a few synth apps, but at the moment that's mostly using the Moog Model D. Speakers wise, actually at the moment I'm being really naughty, because I'm actually using these hi-fi speakers that I've got either side. I have got some Tannoy reveals, which do sound really good, but I actually don't mix much on headphones. Don't mix much in the studio, which I know is really bad, and I've got all this lovely kind of sound dampening stuff, and I should. But I tend to write in here, with that, and then I tend to mix on headphones. And because I've done that for so long, I just kind of know the sound of those headphones, so it helps me get good mixes on that. The reason I took the Tannoy reveals inside is they sound flipping awesome with my turntable inside for playing vinyl on. So that's why they've gone inside for now. But at some stage I will probably invest in some smallish proper monitors in here. But the great thing with the Denon amp is you've got two speaker inputs, which are down here, so I can kind of A/B between these two speakers. So I do check mixes in here. It's quite a good place just checking A/B between the two speakers. So carrying on, we've got the MX1, which is kind of like another sort of centerpiece of the setup. Everything is eventually routed through here, and then routed to the computer for recording. So if I just cut back to the other camera, hello. So this area then here is the sort of the writing and arranging area. So this is where obviously I've got Ableton Live, I've got a couple of monitors. So I'm running Ableton Live off the laptop over there. Got a microphone use there, obviously when I'm doing YouTube videos, I use that mic on this kind of standy thing here, which is quite useful because that can kind of be positioned there, or it can be positioned over here if I want to do YouTube tutorials on that side. Let's move that out of the way for now. So yeah, we've got Ableton Live with a couple of monitors. We've got a push, we've got a little MIDI controller, which I'm not using much at the moment, but that's there if I want to use that. And then the MX1. So let's just cut back to this camera. So the MX1 is then the main sound card for everything. So everything gets routed through the MX1, and then I can obviously have all the separate channels I've got on here to record stuff into Ableton Live. This is just a remix I'm working on at the moment. So yeah, that's this area. That's kind of like the Ableton Live section. And then over here is kind of like big synth area. So just purely because that space kind of worked quite nicely for the synths there. So we've got the main one is the System 8, which is down here. We've got an MS-20 down here. Oh, hello. We've got some pop vinyls in the corner over there. This is not, I'm not using this at the moment. This is just the Novation Launch Key MIDI controller. I was using that with the Model D app on the iPad, but I'm using the Deluge for that now, so I'm not using that now much at the moment. And then this is a really old keyboard. This is actually, this was my wife's. She had it, actually we've probably had this about 25 years kicking around the house. And it seemed a shame to get rid of it because it's really nice for, it's not a synthesizer, it's obviously just got pre-programmed sounds in, but, I don't know if you can hear that, it's not very loud, but it's lovely. It's actually got a really nice piano sound on it, so I'll tend to use this for more organic sounds, like piano and organs and occasionally strings and things like that. But it's got some quite decent sounds in it actually, so it seemed a shame to get rid of it. So that's sitting there. So there we are. That's kind of like the main layout of everything. So I'm kind of full up at the moment, but I'm still, the one thing I still want is a Moog or a Moog. I call them Moog, get over it. So I'm thinking that will probably go there as and when I get one, and then I'm fully happy for now. We're never fully happy, are we, with synth stuff? So yeah, that's kind of like the main sort of things, how stuff is laid out. What I'll do now on the next section is I'll just go through it in a little bit more detail on how the audio is connected and how the MIDI is connected. So I'm just going to swap the cameras around a little bit, and then I'll see you in that in a second. Right, so in this section I'm just going to focus on the audio routing, which is fairly straightforward. So I'm going to concentrate mostly on the MX1. I've got it turned off just so the lights aren't too bright. Basically, anything that's audio all gets routed through the MX1 because this is my sound card. So this is just connected to the laptop that I record on. I record using Ableton Live. So it's got a USB connection going from this into Ableton Live. Works really well as a sound card. And obviously we can record all these separate channels as one. Start again. We can record all these separate channels like all at the same time, so I can almost like jam a song out live, which is often what I will do, and I'll record everything and then I'll sort of chop it up into some sort of arrangement. So just going through the channels, so the standard audio inputs I've got the MS-20 going into channel 1, so these are just standard jack audio connections. Got the Minilog going into channel 2, got the Microbrute going into 3, we've got all the sound from the Deluge going into 4. Mix I'm going to come back to in a second, and then on the digital channel I've got an analog a digital to analog, no, an analog to digital converter, get it the right way around, which enables me to use this channel as a normal kind of analog input, because this one, the digital one, tends to get wasted otherwise, I think. So I've got the Volca bass going in to that. These are then the USB inputs, so I've got the TR8 connected via a USB cable going into USB 1, the System 8 going into USB 2, and the TB03 going into USB 3, and that's giving power also to the TB03. So basically those USB connections are doing all the audio over USB. rather than standard audio jack connections. I've got a spare one there, USB 4, so I'm guessing that one's starting to look a bit lonely, so I probably need to get a new Roland boutique synth to plug into there. Quite fancy the SH01, so that's earmarked for that one. Santa might bring me one, you never know. And then, yeah, so this channel is coming back to this one, 5 and 6 channel, which is, you can see it says mix. That is the input from the Yamaha mixer over here, which I'll talk about in a second. But I'm going to go back over here, just talking about outputs. So around the back, I've got the main stereo output, which are these two. That's going to the Denon amp over there. So that's input to the Denon amp, which is then going out to the speakers. Then I've got a headphone output as well, just for monitoring and listening on headphones. There's also an auxiliary send and return on here, but I'm not using that at the moment, but that's something I may kind of use at a future date. Then the other connections around the back are just the MIDI connections. So yeah, as I said a second ago, the Yamaha mixer, which is over here, which I'll change the camera on to in a minute, is going into that input there, because I've run out of inputs on here. So, I mean, ideally, I guess... Oh, sorry, my voice went a bit weird then. I guess ideally I could do with a new, bigger mixer that will do everything. But as the MX1 is the sound card as well, it works okay. Oops, it works okay as we do it now. There goes the camera. Right, let's try and position that there so it doesn't fall over. There we go. It should be okay. Sorry about that. Bit of motion sickness you'll no doubt get on that. So this is old. Basically, it's an old mini disc recorder. It's an 8-track mini disc recorder, which I'm basically just using as extra inputs to put into the MX1. So I've got the main stereo output from this is going into channel 5 and 6 on the MX1, as I've just explained, and then going into here I've got the modular is going into channel 2, the MB33 is going into channel 3, the output from the iPad is going into channel 4, the TMX drum machine, which I might have missed off actually when I was going through the just talking through all the gear, which if I did, I can't remember if I did or not, that's this down here. I'm not sure if I mentioned that or not. If I did, then fair enough. If I didn't, I'll mention it now. So this is an old TMX Yamaha drum sound module. It's got some quite nice old sort of sounds on there, which is quite nice. So that's going into channel 5. The old Yamaha keyboard is going into channel 6, and then on channel 7 I've got my microphone, which at the moment is up there. And that's the one that I usually will use if I want to use a microphone for a bit of better sound on my YouTube videos. This one for now I'm just doing off my phone just for ease and speed. I'm not using channel 8 because that one's a bit dodgy, and channel 1 also has got a bit of a dodgy fader on it, so I'm not using those at the moment. And then the only other thing we've got connected to this mixer is the Alesis Nano Verb, which I've got set up as a send and return. So any of the auxiliary sends on here I can send out to that if I want some reverb or delay, which again I think I've mentioned previously. And that's it, basically it with the audio. These inputs are just standard audio inputs, just 1/4-inch jack cables going into there. And yeah, there's not really a lot else to say on the audio. The audio is pretty straightforward. So what I'll do in the next section is I'll talk a bit more about the MIDI connections, which is where it starts to get a little bit more complicated. And then also sort of talk about how I use the Deluge to control everything and do a quick demo on how I do that as well. Okay, so I'll see you in that next section in a second. Right then, so for the MIDI section, I'm just going to concentrate on this area of the studio because basically it's all coming from the Deluge. This is the centre and this does everything. And this bit of kit is flipping amazing. It's without doubt the best thing I have ever bought. Right, so in terms of MIDI routing, trusty notebook because I can never remember anything. Oh, just one thing I didn't mention earlier is I've got an Alesis little reverb unit here, the Nano Verb. Well, I say reverb, it does delays and choruses and so on. At the moment I'm using that purely to add some effects to the modular, which is over there. And I'm just doing that as a send and return, so I've got auxiliary send from the... I mean, I can obviously patch that into any of these, but I'm taking that out of auxiliary 1, it's going back into this channel here, so I've got a send and return effects thing there, just in case you're wondering what that is. Right, trusty notebook, MIDI connections first of all. So I'll go through the MIDI connections and I'll kind of demonstrate how it all works. So I'm starting off basically with the deluge, and that's kind of sending out the master clock to everything. So what I'm doing from here is I'm taking a MIDI out, and that's going to this, I don't know if you can see it, this splitter cable here. So that gives me two outputs from there, and I'm using those on a few bits where we've not got, because a lot of these haven't got MIDI through, only the Roland stuff has MIDI through. So what's happening is that MIDI output is, one of them's going over to the iPad, which is over there, so I can control that, and then the other is going into the TR8. I've then got another MIDI splitter cable, and these are about £3 or £4 off eBay, and I've never had a problem with them. They work really well. So I've got another MIDI splitter cable coming out the TR8. One of those is going into the mini log. That doesn't have MIDI through, so that's kind of like the end of that MIDI route. And then the other one is going to, where are we? It's going all the way over here to the System 8. Okay, so we're taking out from here to in of the System 8. The System 8 has then got another MIDI splitter on the MIDI out, because that has MIDI through, or the Roland gear has MIDI through. So one of those is coming back over here to the Volca bass. Again, that's the end of that kind of MIDI route. That's the dead end on that one, because that doesn't have any MIDI out at all. And the second output from the from the System 8 is coming to the TB03. This has MIDI through. The TB03 is then taking MIDI out to another like splitter thing here. This is like a powered MIDI splitter that has one MIDI in, and it splits it, and you can get 5 outputs from it, which is brilliant, which is really, really useful. So what I'm doing with those is one is going out to the Micro Brute, one is going out to the MS-20, which is over there, which you saw earlier. One's going to the MB33. One was going to the Modular, but I'm controlling that differently, which I'll talk about now. I think that's it actually. There's only those 3, so I've got a couple of spare MIDI outputs on that as well. So that's all controlled then from here, and then I'm controlling the Modular via CV and gate. So I'll give you a quick demonstration of how this all kind of works with the Deluge in a second. Okay, so now we're going to have a look at how we use the Deluge to control basically everything. I think one of the things I forgot to mention just on the last section on the MIDI splitter, because I couldn't remember what, I've not got them written down in my notebook, so you see, if I don't write it down, I don't remember. Yeah, there's a splitter going to the old Yamaha keyboard over that side of the studio, and there's another output from the splitter going to the little drum sound module under here, so I can access those from here. So, on the Deluge, obviously we can control up to 16 different bits of hardware with this, and how I've got it connected up, all the MIDI is kind of flowing through everything. So, if I'm on kind of like, this is like the synth page, and at the moment, if we choose this button here, that's MIDI, and then we're on channel 1. So I have the MS-20, which is over there, is set to receive on channel 1. Okay, so that's playing the MS-20. Channel 2 is the MB33. He says, there we go. Let's go down a little bit. So effects-wise on this, at the moment, obviously I've got the, as I mentioned previously, I've got the send and return on the little Alesis reverb delay kind of thing here. So that's taking the reverb from that at the moment, which is just on an auxiliary send. So if I turn that down, it gets rid of that. I can put that onto reverb and give it a load of reverb. I've then also got for the MB33, I've got a delay pedal, just a standard guitar pedal. Just get rid of the delay. So that's that delay. And I've also got an overdrive pedal, distortion pedal. So if we want to give it some nastiness, we can do that. So they're kind of operating with that. Channel 3 is the TB03. Okay, so that's controlling that. Channel 4 is the Volca bass. Channel 5 is the mini log. channel 6, I can't remember. Channel 6 is the System 8 over there. Okay, that's my Stefan Bodzin Singularity patch I've made on the System 8, which sounds really cool. Channel 7 I'm not using at the moment because that was the modular, but I'm not using that now. Channel 8 is the Micro Brute. Channel 9 is the iPad, which is controlling whatever synth app I have on there. At the moment we've got the Model D thing. I'm connecting that to the iPad by this. It's a Roland UM1. It's just a USB MIDI interface. And what I've done is I've mapped some of the controls on here to the controls on the iPad. So for example, filter. Is it this one? What I thought I had. What's going on there? 21. Oh, sorry, I hadn't saved it earlier, that's why. So yeah, so if you just map it. Let's turn the... So I can then control the dials on here from this. Okay, which is very cool. So that's channel 9. Channel 10 is the TR8, so if I want to sequence that from here, it's the TR8 sounds. Channel 11 is, you can hear that piano. That's the old Yamaha keyboard over the other side. And then the last one, channel 12, is the TMX drum sound module under here. So what I can do basically with any of these is obviously I can sequence anything. So if I just start a new song on here, got a blank slate. So let's say, okay, let's go channel 12. Sorry, before I do that, the modular is then controlled on the CV section here. So if we press CV, this now sends out CV and gate information. And that will then control the modular, hopefully. For some reason it's not. Let me work out why. Hold on. Okay, so yeah, weird stuff was happening. It was working a minute ago and then it wasn't, but I just reconnected it and it's fine. So that's playing the modular, and again I can use obviously send some effects to it. So some delay. So yeah, so I'm controlling the modular via CV and gate. Now we've got 4 gate outputs and 2 CV outputs. I do have a MIDI to CV converter on there, but I was kind of running out of MIDI connections, so I thought, well, this has got CV gate, I may as well use it for the modular. And for some reason, I don't know, in my weird mind, it seems like you should control a modular with CV and gate, not with MIDI. But there you go, that's just me. Right, so I think that's kind of like how everything is put together. What I'll do in the last section is I'll just kind of show you how I can just start a little song and sequence everything from the Deluge. Of course, the Deluge does also have its own internal sound, so we've got a full synth engine with 2 oscillators and filters and all sorts, and we've also got a load of kits. Got 808s, 909s, and there's about 66 different drum kits I've now got in here. So yeah, the thing is absolutely flipping brilliant. So, I'll do a little quick sequencing thing in a second and then I'll end it, otherwise this video is going to be way too long. Okay, I'll see you in the next section. Okay, so what I thought I'd just do for this last section is I'll just sort of demonstrate how I can just basically sequence all my gear from here and get a song idea sort of going. This will probably sound shockingly bad, but we'll give it a go. So, I'm actually going to start off with, I'm going to use the internal sounds for the drums. Okay, so we're going to just sequence a quick... Okay, so you can see how easy it is just to get a drum pattern in. So now the thing comes to, I'm kind of spoilt for choice as to what to Yeah, let's go back and kit. What shall we put in next? Let's have a think. Okay, I'm just going to stick something like this. Is the modular. Let's just have a simple bass line. Now I'm just going to change the sound slightly on the modular. Okay, that'll do. I mean, I'm not going perfect for this. Oh, there goes the camera. It's all gone peaked on. Okay, sorry. We'll try again. Get the flipping camera going. Right, so we could then start another new track. The thing is, my modular's probably out of tune, so this will probably sound really bad. But let's have the System 8. I'm just going to record that. Okay, yeah. Yeah, it's crap, I know. But hopefully you can see, God, that was so bad. You can see, you know, how you would do it then. I know, let's say, okay, so let's turn the iPad back on because it's decided to go off. So let's say we want to add in then some iPad Moog Model D. Turn the flipping thing up. No, hang on. Yeah, sorry to do restart the app on the iPad because I'd turned it off earlier. So yeah, if you want to put some Model D in it, you know, we can stick some of that in. If we want some TB03, we can just go on the MIDI channel or whatever, and you can just keep adding tracks that you want. Then you might want to have a new track and put the internal synth in, you know, something off there and so on. So that was a really bad illustration of how to write a crap piece of music. Yeah, there's my next number one right there. So yeah, hopefully I'll shut up now because obviously this video is going to get really, really long. But hopefully you can see, I mean, the flexibility with the deluge is incredible because you can basically have as it's unlimited by what it can, the internal RAM and stuff can hold. So you're not limited to like 4 bars or 16 bars. I mean, I've done things with like 64 bar loops in and ridiculous stuff like that. So you can just keep going with it for as long as you want. And how I've got it set up now, this, I say, it just seems to work. It just controls everything. So, you know, if I want to control the System 8, the Minilog and the TB03 in one song and use the internal drum sounds from this, I can do it. It's simple. So I'll shut up because I'm jabbering on as usual. So usual things. If you've got any questions, stick them in the comments box below, or any suggestions for any future videos, then put those in there. I will try and accommodate those wherever possible. And yeah, like, subscribe, share it around, check my music out, go and follow me on Spotify, download it, stream it or whatever if you like that kind of stuff. And I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.